So now that you figured out that where I am actually, you're going to find out that who is my guest. So, as you can see, there's a gentleman sitting next to me. Hello.
Hello, nice to see you.
And nice to see you too. And in case you don't know him well, I would be really, really surprised because he is, and I'm going to let him introduce himself because the list is just far too long. Jamie Baulch, over to you.
Yeah, it's nice to be with you today. Yeah, so Olympic silver medalist, former world champion in the 400 meters. Still got the British record, which I can't believe. That's what, 20 odd years old, 20.
The record breaker.
20 years, yeah, so I've still got that record. So yeah, I used to run the 400 meters for Great Britain and Olympic silver, double world champion, and I was a sprinter. So the good old days of when I could run fast, but that was many moons ago now, Mariette.
And also, Jamie is also known for his devoted work for charities.
Yeah, I do a lot of work for charities. I'm an ambassador of Barnados. I'm an ambassador of cancer research, Kidney Wales. It's something which, when I was a kid, I always loved giving back, and in life, it's very good to do stuff which you want to do, but it's always nice to lend a hand and reach back and give somebody what they need. And so for me, I've always felt it very fulfilling to help charities and the less fortunate. So very involved in that right now. I've got a company called Bid In. I'm just launching a company called Bid Aid, which is coming out in March. And basically what those companies do is they do auctions for charities events, and really, really love it.
And Jamie is also a presenter and a guest speaker at various events all over the country. And he's also the member of the London Sporting Club,
yes,
where we happen to be right now. Well, if you've got an Olympian, you've got to do the interview with him right here. So thank you so much, Ian, for that.
I've been a member for a little while of Ian's club, and what they do is phenomenal. A group of all different like-minded people, all from all different walks of lives, all having a good time. So we're in the premises right now, and it's great to be here.
Such a really, really diverse background. I want to know that no one else does. Like, if you go on Wikipedia, if you you just put in Jamie Baulch, you've got like 6 billion, honestly. But right now, it's really like that no one actually gets. So this is Baroness World Luxury with Jamie.
Okay, well, I'll tell you one thing, which I don't think many people, I hate spiders. I know that's very random. I know that's really random, but I hate spiders and I hate heights. I'm massively fearful of heights. I got like some, if I'm in a hotel room and it's high up, I'm like, whoa, it really freaks me out. So I thought I'd just give you some crazy randomness about myself. I know you didn't expect that, but yeah, spiders freak me out and I don't like heights. I was, so I'm 44 now, 44 years old, but when I was born, I was adopted. So people do know about this. It was in the public eye a couple of years ago. I went on TV to tell people about my upbringing and my background. And being a mixed race kid, my father was Jamaican, my mother was white British, and I didn't know anything about my background. So a couple of years ago, I explored and found my birth mother, which was very interesting. So that I'd have been about 42 at the time when I met her, and very interesting to meet this person who's your mother after all this time. And yeah, very, very, very interesting. Unfortunately, she passed away 2 years later. She died of cancer. Yeah, very sad. But, I feel I was very lucky to have met her. And we had some good times. We had some real good laughs. I understand why I'm a little bit edgy and a bit crazy, because my mother was crazy. Like, she's a crazy woman, like a great woman. But, now I know where I get my sort of personality from. It was definitely from her.
So what was it like? How old were you when you were at the Olympics?
I was 6. I was how old when I was what? Sorry?
At the Olympics.
Oh, I was 23 years old at the Olympics.
23, yeah. And you had quite a lot of kind of things building up to it.
Oh yeah. It was, well, I was very lucky that I'm only 5'8". I'm the shortest athlete I reckon there is on the planet. Do you know the film Shrek? Have you seen the film Shrek? Yeah. Do you know Lord Farquaad from Shrek?
No, I only know Puss in Boots.
Well, what's a film? Well, if you watch the film Shrek, there's a character in there called Lord Farquaad, he's tiny, right? That's me. Like, I used to run against people who were at 6'2", 6'3". I was the shortest athlete out there, so you know my leg speed was so fast in comparison to all the other runners. They would be running, but I'd be having to go really quick. And in fact, the Jamaican team, their nickname for me was Suicide. I was like, what? I was saying, why do you call me Suicide for? Yeah, and they said, and the thing was, they said that because I used to go off so fast when I used to run, they used to say, don't go off with him because he'll kill you. This guy will go so fast, you won't be able to carry on with him, you know? So they used to call me Suicide in Jamaica, which was kind of a weird nickname. But yeah, track and field, I started when I was 10 years old. I got very good when I was about 17 and 18, and then the rest was history. I was very lucky to be coached by Colin Jackson, who was a world record holder, 110-metre hurdler, TV presenter now. Also Linford Christie, the Olympic gold medalist, 100 metres, was my coach as well. I mean, I was very lucky to be around some amazing athletes, and they say success breeds success, and if you hang around successful people, you become successful, and I was very lucky that I had that at such a young age.
I really would like to know a little bit more about that. What was it that really kept you pushing on? You
know, I definitely had the eye of the tiger, like from Rocky, the Rocky films. I was the hardest trainer I know. If you knew me back then, 20 years ago, and you had to watch me train, I would train harder than everyone else around me. You know, Linford Christie, Colin Jackson, Frankie Fredericks, Bruni Surin. These names are all Olympic gold, silver medalists. I was the one, when they're on the floor dying and feeling ill from training, so I'd be the one who could just keep going. And I feel, why was I like that? I just feel that I felt I had a disadvantage for being so short. I felt I had a disadvantage from being from Wales, Au Pays de Galles. You know, I felt disadvantage from, you know, being in a smaller country, being short, being mixed raced. You know, especially back then, and I just wanted to prove a point. I wanted to prove to the world that it doesn't matter what your background is, it doesn't matter how tall you are, who you are, you can be the best. And I just had this inner belief in myself that, you know, if I work hard enough, train on Christmas Day, you know, I was training Christmas Day, I believed that I could become the best in the world. And, you know, it was one of the most special moments for me in track and field was when I crossed the line, when I won the World Championships in '99. You know, it's a great achievement knowing you're the best in the world at 400 metres.
Oh, wow, yes.
The best moment for me wasn't going on the rostrum where you get your medal. The best moment for me was when I phoned up my father and I said, Dad, your son is world champion. And he cried down the other end of the phone. That, to me, was my gold medal. In everything I ever done, that was my most special moment of my career because, you know, my father, you know, my adoptive father, he raised me, and my mother, they didn't have to, and they chose to, and they're both white, and they raised this mixed race kid back in the 70s in Wales, which was not the done thing, and they still did it. So to me, that was my little bit, in a way, saying thank you. You know, thank you for giving me an opportunity. So there's always days when you don't want to get up. There's always days when you don't want to do something. And we're all like that. We're all, you know, that type of person. But, you know, I'm one of these people, if when I wake up, if somebody says to me, nah, you're not going to get that contract, you're not going to win this one today, Jet, I'm like,
you know what?
I'm gonna do it. And I love it. It gives me drive. When people say I can't, it gives me strength.
You know, you've got a very strong charity work behind you, and you have been doing it for quite a long time now. Yeah. Is there any kind of particular charity or message or something that really resonates with what you've gone through with your personal experience?
I think I love all charity. So let me say that first and foremost. But particularly, I love children's charities. You know. Helping the kids, you know, because if you can't, you know, we've got to help these kids. It doesn't matter what charity it is, you know, the Barnados, you know, the kids shouldn't be in that position, you know. Another one for me is the homeless. That really, you know, when I see a person on the street and then got a home, it kills me. It absolutely kills me. And one of the things which is my goal, and this is exclusive because I haven't said this to anyone, is I want to, with my new company I'm launching, one of my things is to set up my own charity which helps the homeless. I really want to do something to get people off the streets and get them into a job and get them into something which can fulfill them. You know, that is really, you know, whenever I see a guy on the street, it's a local cinema by me, Cine World in Cardiff, and every time I go to the cinema, there's always somebody there. And, you know, they say you shouldn't give them money and stuff, but I do, I can't help it, I do. But it's a homeless charity in Cardiff called The Huggard, and I went down there a few months ago, and I had loads of clothes I didn't need, you know, it's only so much you can wear. And I put all these clothes, and my partner put all these clothes in this bag, and we went to the Huggard and give them to this homeless charity. Yeah. And I went down in the day, and loads of stuff, you know, and nice stuff. It was, you know, nice clothes, so I was pleased I was able to give it away. And that night I went to the cinema, and it was this black guy and this woman, and he said, Jamie, like that, and I turned around like this, and he went, look, and he had all the clothes. He had clothes on I gave that day, and the girl had Cheryl's jacket on, my partner's jacket. And he said, thank you. And I was just like, oh my God, like, you know, it just made me, you know, to know that the guy was, you know, he had some warm clothes on. And I know it's not a massive thing, but it was, to me, it was just knowing that I made him feel good for that moment. And I get a lot of joy out of making other people feel good, you know, and that's why I think I do what I do. When I look back at my athletics career, I feel like if you look at track and field, if you look at athletes or any type of sport, basically we're entertainers. When I won the World Championships, I'm running around that track and I win, and the crowd, yeah, and everyone's going wild. I'm making them feel good by me running fast, yeah? And I saw myself as this modern day entertainer, because that's all we are. That's all we do. We just please a crowd. If nobody ever got to watch us, then my achievements would mean nothing. And I always understood that it's because of everyone else why I am who I am. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't, a lot of athletes forget. They forget that. They think it's them. It's not about them. And it's not about them. It's about the people watching you.
You know, Jamie, you mentioned a little bit about sports here as well, and I'm sure you've been interviewed by hundreds of specialist journalists. You've been on shows. You've been all over the place. But it's a question that no one actually asked you, and you so wanted to ask you specifically about your career. Yeah. Specifically, what would it be, and what would be the answer?
Oh, that's a good question. God, that's a hard question to think of that question. I think nobody's really asked me why I ever did it, why I ever did track and field, why I ever ran in the fit. Why? Okay, one, yes, I was good at it.
Right. Jamie, why did you ever run? Don't cut it like Forrest Gump. Run, Forrest!
That's brilliant. Don't cut that. Just keep it in. Keep that in, because that's perfect. That's brilliant. Being adopted, and I used to get people when I was in school saying, oh, you don't know your mum. You don't know who your mother is. You're this, you're that. I used to get taunted, you know, not much, it was fine, I could handle it, it wasn't very nasty stuff, but it was stuff which, you know, was there. And I think one of the reasons I ran so hard and ran so with determination and conviction is because I wanted my mother to see me. Does that make sense? Like, I wanted her, she didn't know who I was, but I thought if I run really fast, then maybe one day she might ring up and say, are you my son? You know what I mean? And obviously that never happened in that way, but I think it was almost like it was my calling card, especially with social media and the way it is. Everyone's got lazy, everyone's got complacent, everyone's just got, oh, it's too hard. If you want to be the best in the world or something, you've got to put the work in. You know, I used to be sick, physically sick, 3 days a week. From running, I'd be running and puking up at the same time. Like crazy stuff. You know, a lot of people who are adopted, a lot of people who've been adopted, they see it as abandonment, and they've got a lot of adoptees have got a lot of issues over trust and those issues of they feel like somebody's going to let go of them, and you know, and it's I've read a lot of themes, and I look back at my life and I've gone, my God, yeah, I've had a bit of that. I understand what they mean by that. And so to me, it's I think it was if you've let go of me, you're definitely going to find me, because I'm going to be making such a noise. I tell you what, one of my claim to fames, you know, David Beckham, the football player, right? Yeah. David Beckham, one of the biggest sports people on the planet. Even now, he's, you know, huge. And in 1997, I beat him on Radio 1's Best Hairstyle of the Year award. So that's my claim to fame, that I beat David Beckham.
Gonna be after me.
Yeah, that's the one. So I beat you, David Beckham.
What was it like when you actually met your mother? And what would be it's almost like a kind of, I don't know, a lesson, a message, a kind of something to give forward to people who are exactly in your situation.
Yeah, well, that moment when I got to meet my birth mother was maybe the most scariest moment in my life. You know, people say to be on TV in front of 1 billion people at the Olympics in the final is a big thing, yeah? You know, 100,000 people in the stand, 1 billion people watching on TV is big. But when you get to meet your birth mother after 42 years, you don't know what she looks like. You don't know anything about her, except I managed to find out her name. That was it. I remember opening the door to a room which had a courtyard in, and my mother was the only person in, and she was at the back. And I was like, oh my God, that's my mum. And what do? Do you go up to your mum and shake her hand? What do you do when you first, hi mum? No, because you've got a mum who's raised you all your life. So is that your mum? It's really confusing as a person, especially when you're an adult. And I didn't know what to do. Like, so she was sat like that, and the only thing I could do is literally rugby tackle her. So I ended up launching at her and grabbed her, because I didn't know. And the maybe the most wonderful but scary moment of our meeting was, I didn't know what to do. And when I hugged her like this, she said, Jamie, right? She said, Jamie. She named me Jamie. It wasn't from my adoptive mum and dad. So my adoptive mum and dad call me, on my birth certificate is James. So I'm known as James. In my house it's James, but everyone calls me Jamie. So when my birth mother actually said Jamie, I went, ugh, because I knew she said it with love, and she said it like, that's my son, it was an embrace. And that moment, I burst out crying. I was crying. I was, proper tears,
What would be your message? What would be something that you feel that, you really need to get out there to people who are exactly the same?
Yeah, so if it's anyone in my situation, my piece of advice, if it's, you've got a burning desire to try and find your birth mother and father, go and do it, because time may be of the essence. Like my mother, when I got to find her, she had cancer. She was only meant to live for 6 months, but she lived for 2 years. But if I didn't find her at that time, she would have passed away. So if you've got this burning desire...
It's almost like that it was meant to be.
It was meant to be. It was 100% meant to be. And so my thing is to people who are in my position, just try and track them if you need to. But don't be disappointed if you get rejected, because the one thing you've always got to remember is the reason you were adopted is for a reason. They didn't adopt. Usually, and this is my honest thoughts, is if a mother didn't want the baby, they would have an abortion. Usually, not saying in all cases, because some people don't. But to me, I felt that my mother gave me the opportunity. She just didn't. She was 19. She didn't have the comfort around her. Mum and dad didn't support her. I was a mixed race kid, so I understand why she did what she did. If you go on my website, it's just jamiebaulch.com. jamiebaulch.com. And you go on to the TV section, you'll see the adoption programs on there. So the one searching for my birth mother, and then one searching for my birth father. And the first adoption program actually won a BAFTA. It won an award, big awards, and a couple of years ago, which was really good. And I love getting the BAFTA, not for, I've got a BAFTA. I love getting it because I love promoting adoption in this country. That's why I loved it. It was like a bit of and it was more to say to my mum, and one of the reasons I did it is because I wanted my mum and dad who've raised me, I wanted the world to know how special they've been. It's hard to watch. It's not all fluffy and it's hard, but we know each other. Yeah, it's a reality. And I think everyone who's ever seen it has enjoyed them. And I'm glad that I've had people, and one of the things I've loved is since the programs, I've had people coming up to me in the street saying, we saw your program, we were so overwhelmed by it. This is my son, we've adopted. Oh my God. So I've had about 7 or 8 people who've actually physically seen me coming up saying because of that program. So to me, it's done its job. And I said that to my birth mother. I said, when she was alive, I said, our thing together was to promote adoption and to show how amazing adoption is. And she said, okay, that's good.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
Very good.
It comes to the point of that, what is the purpose of in life? Everybody's there's always a reason behind it.
Yeah,
always.
Sure, yeah.
And the reasons they're not obvious, they might not be obvious for decades.
Yeah.
Until
there's a reason. It's always a reason. And unfortunately with people like myself, and I've read a lot on it now, is people feel that the reason is because you weren't loved. The mother or father didn't love you, or they didn't care and they wanted to cast you aside. That's not the case, not in every case. It's because of a reason. And I think if you can, as an adoptee, if you can uncover that truth and find out, it just gives you peace and gives you comfort.
So what's Jamie Baulch up to this year?
Well, what am I
He's
up to
always
this
up
year?
to something, by the way.
Right. Always doing something, me, always mischievous. What am I up to this year? More silent auctions, more charity events, spending time with my kids. I've got 2 beautiful children. They're getting old now. My oldest is 23 in May. 23.
Never.
I know. And then my youngest is 15, just turned 15. Literally the other day. So doing some stuff with my kids, my partner, and her kids. I want to do more charity work. I want to launch Bid Aid and really get out into the marketplace and raise a lot of monies for charities which need it. Yeah. So that's me. Gonna do a lot in the charity sector.
Well, Jamie, I wish you all the very, very best for this year, and thank you so much for your time.
Cheers, it's a pleasure.
And the laugh.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for watching us as well. It's been Baroness World Luxury.